notes a day, big time. Now, what are you going to do with those 3 notes a day when you're connecting with your sphere and your past clients? Man, that list is innumerable. So let's start off with them, right? So as Matt said, this time of year is great because we could talk about the holidays. We've got Thanksgiving coming up. We've got the Christmas, holidays coming up, right? There's so many different holidays that wrap around that time of year. Then you also have, for a lot of people, let's say it's a past client, it could be the birthdays. It could be, as we pay attention on social media, engagements, marriages, whose kid got married, which one of your past clients just got married. House anniversaries is awesome. So if you sold a house and you know that on, November 30th, you closed in 2019, well, then November 30th, 2020 is an amazing day to pop in because you want to talk about making a statement. The fact that you actually didn't just cash your check and forget about the people, but the fact that you showed up again, whether it be on a pop by, meaning you just popped in, knocked on their door, rang their bell. And if you do that, just make sure you ring that bell with your elbows, right? Show up with a gift. I don't care if it's an $8, $10 candle, show up with something, not just a quick wave hello. So, but it's a golden opportunity because they're going to be talking about you after that. Again, wedding anniversaries, college graduates, high school graduates. Today we get to talk about the virtualness of that. And so the conversation becomes really, really easy to wrap ourselves around tapping into our sphere and working the database on things like that. So I'll keep quiet for a second and ask anybody else on the call currently who's been in the business for a decent amount of time, can you give us 1 or 2 nuggets that you do with mining your database or working that sphere? And Eric, you're smiling like really, really big. I'm thinking you got something big. You're ready to just drop on us.
I like the 3 a day. I mean, that's and showing up at doing drop-bys. I mean, drop-bys has always been how do I say, something that I want to do, or but it's something that's hard for me to wrap my head around. So I love that, to hear that.
Time, right? Time is hard for us to.
It's time, and it's again, I think it has to do with the fact that, I don't know, again, if you're working with buyers, you might be a little bit more spread out than in 1 or 2 towns. For me, it's always like I've been working from Hoboken to Columbia, New Jersey, to Ramsey down to Edison. It's like I ain't dropping by anybody, unless I'm in that town. It's hard for me. But no, I like what I'm hearing. That's why I'm smiling. I'm now working my database, and I don't want to get into that because that's not really my expertise. I'm getting into it now.
Cool. Awesome. Anybody else on a sphere of influence type thing? Is there anything anybody else is doing? Francesca.
I was waiting for the Mustard Cola.
I just saw the wave. I saw the wave.
So what Lou and I tend to do, we've done it now for a number of years. We do a holiday gift back. So we do a party at the house, and we have it catered. We have cocktails, and we invite our past clients and family and friends to come over and just have a night to kind of just have fun and chill. So, and then it's evolved from that. Originally, it was just a give back, and now it's a complete give back because everyone tended to bring something when they came to my home. So now what we've asked for them to do is, actually, I get the tags now. I get the tags from the Boys and Girls Club. And instead of bringing me a bottle of wine, I have them buy a gift for an underprivileged child. So it kind of goes 2 ways because it says thank you to our community, and then it also gives back to the community, which we really love.
Love it. That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go next. What I'm really bad about doing the drop bys and so forth, but what I do is my Thanksgiving pies, and I've been doing that for a really long time, and I do it as an event in the office. So I do it the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It's from like 4 to 8 o'clock at night, and I forgot to tell you, Ronnie, I'll be needing the office on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So take this as your official request. But anyway, so
Market
we
is
do
yours.
from 4 to 8. I don't know how we're going to do it this year, but normally we do like a wine and cheese, and there's appetizers and there's pies that they can test it, because they do get to pick a pie. And I get the pies delivered from Lyndhurst Bakery. So they like intense, really amazing apple crumb pies. They're not like, I'm just getting some cheap pie. And they do come from all over. So normally the people from Wayne were going to Montclair. So now it should be a little easier for those clients. But and they get to sit, like hang around and talk. And sometimes, if I represent the buyer, the seller, or it's the neighbor, because, you're selling in the same street or neighborhood, it's a really nice time. And it's a really good way for me to reconnect with everybody every year.
I love it.
How
I
many
love it.
years have you been doing that, Francis?
Oh my God. You figure I was in Montclair for 7. I was definitely doing it at least 5 or 6 in Clifton. So a long time.
And I asked that because I think one thing, and we did a class the other week on how to dominate a local market in Clifton. And one of the things you brought up was it 4th of July that you give out flags?
Yeah. So, but that's more like in my farm that I do
Yeah.
the flags. And I also do the cookie tins. I did the Danish cookies in the whole Oak Ridge section, but that's more my farm. So this is really more like my clients.
But what I like that you said though was when we with the flags was you didn't do it one year and people knew that you didn't do it, and they're like, wait, is there something wrong? Like, why didn't you do it? So
Yeah.
Where I'm going with this is, same with the Thanksgiving pies, whatever ends up being your thing collectively on the call, consistently do it, because people will notice when you don't do it. So I just wanted to highlight that.
And it's funny because when Mr. Rosado started working with me, one of the things he took over was going to the closings, right? So prior to joining me, and it is a lot of work because it's hundreds, it's a lot of pies, and it's the food and the drink, and it's just, we're exhausted. Xavier has actually, joined us sometimes, and it's just exhausting. Like, we're tired. So Jose always wondered, do we have to do this? Until he started going to the closings, and legit, the first thing out of people's mouth would be like, so now do we get a pie? Oh, so now we're on the list, because these pies go with, our name and tag on it to usually wherever they're going for Thanksgiving. And people are like, wow, you got a pie again? Oh, you get a pie? Like, no, it's a pie for life. So that's the deal that I do with my clients. It's a pie for life.
It's awesome. I was just looking it up, and I don't even know who put this in, but it says your broker of record loves apple crumb. So
okay, that's
making
great
sure I
to
get
know.
a pie for
And
life.
by the way, I'm not really sure why the hell it says I'm Tatiana, but that's my son's girlfriend, and that's what it says.
Joey, Ronnie likes
Tatiana
apple crumb.
today. I just realized that.
It's all good.
She
Tatiana.
probably utilized it for one of her Zoom calls, the computer.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
You can go in there and edit it.
Oh, you know what? You're right. This is actually probably the computer she used to have in Montclair at some point.
Yeah. Just go in and fix it.
Oh,
So I
well,
just wanted to
tech
comment-
support's not here. That's not happening right now.
On the pies, you guys will see the culture committee. They did that last year. They're doing it again this year. So it'll be different, Francis. So there will be no clanging there. You'll have, just do me a favor, make sure you send that email out to Allison, Lisa, me, whatever, Matt, so that we know that the market center is yours for that night.
I'm still struggling with what to do with it, to tell you the truth. So I don't know, but that's what they're going to get pies, whether it's hand delivered or whatever. I don't know. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, the culture committee decided this year to do drop off for them. If that works, I prefer pickup. Honestly, I think it's great because.
Oh yeah, no, it's actually great because you invite the clients that are like, new, or you're currently doing business with that you haven't closed. And now here you have these other clients that have been your clients maybe 3-4 times in transactions, years ago, still coming. So it actually does create a great environment for the new and potential clients. We invite even people we've gone on listing appointments.
I have an idea, like they do around here, trunk or treat. Like, what if you picked an area and had hot cocoa and mulled wine or whatever, and met outside and pulled them out of the trunk of your car, like, I don't know, like a tailgate kind of thing, and couple
That's
of
cute.
areas that might, with the COVID situation, just make it a little
Yeah.
bit easier on you and switch it up a bit. I don't know.
I like that.
That's
I like
cool. See, guys, why do you think Jane Trust Ryan's within this community now, huh?
Yeah.
Right there. I like that. That's a great idea. Keep it outside. So Matt said something earlier, guys, I want to talk about with this is whatever it is that you choose to do it and do it consistently, right? So it needs to be something like Francis has been doing for years with the pie. So that's one of those things that you do all the time. For me, it's the handwritten notes. It's all the time. I have a spreadsheet on it. So I actually know who I sent the letter out to, just in case I want to go back. And I use it for recruiting as well. So if I did work with an agent and I thought it was just whatever, it was all good, or maybe I didn't, I just saw that person's name a lot. That might be one of my 3, right? So that might be something that I'm cultivating in there, but I keep track of it on a spreadsheet. So I know who I sent it to and when I sent it. Another thing for the sales rally, Matt, what's that, next weekend? Next week,
yeah.
right? So we're going to be interviewing somebody next week, and they have a candle company. So that is also something that you can consider getting involved with. And they do the stickers with your group name on there, if that's what you want, and the family that you're going to send it to, et cetera, et cetera. And it's connecting with, if it's that person, I could care who it is that you use, but you align yourself with somebody like that. Like Cutco. So whatever
Ronnie,
it is.
I forgot to say, because like this year we couldn't do it, but we also do our 4th of July at Brookdale Park with our clients every year. And so the fireworks is for free, right? Because it's there, and they have to bring their own alcoholic beverages, but we do supply all the food and decorations and things for the kids to do. And so I actually get to touch them in July, and I get to touch them for Thanksgiving. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Really every 6 months, really. So twice a year.
Yeah. And I mean, some people are away for 4th of July, but a lot of people come. It's a lot of,
I was in a class, Matt, I think it was Bold this year. Eric, you might remember it too, when we were in Bold over in Butler. And I feel like I remember somebody up on the screen that Chris had put up, and their only form of marketing was parties. And that's all that they did. I don't know if anybody here remembers that, but it was phenomenal. So you talk about a touch point. So I'm listening to, what you do, Francis, with 4th of July, the Mezzacolas, what they do with their party, the give back. So there's something to be said about that. There's a lot of different ways for cultivating business. And that right there is certainly one of them. This mastermind is specific to talk about, how is it that we stay in touch with and work with past clients, current sphere of influence, current database, things of that nature. And I will say that consistency is definitely the key. And consistency has become easier today than it ever has in the past. There's no question about it. And I urge everybody on this call to either A, figure out how to use command to the best of your capability, or pay someone else to do it. Right. And I say that because I do not operate command. All right. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. My team does. And that's my choice. Right. I choose to do it that way. Other people like to be in the middle of whatever it is that they're doing. I'm just saying, whichever one you go with it and utilize command, because it's too easy to be able to touch all of our people on a consistent basis, whether it's the newsletters, it's the different drip campaigns, communities. There's just way too much for us to tap into. So another one that I remember had coming up, and this is at the closing, if you guys wanted to talk about it this way. Somebody also, I remember, I think this was also from Bold, it could have been from something else, was a pizza order form for the day of moving. So let's just say I'm going to sell Kieran a house, right? And so me and Kieran are working together. So now this is a buy-side transaction, and we know that the closing is going to be on Friday. And I'm going to talk to Kieran and say, well, Kieran, when are you moving in? Like, are you moving in like right after the closing? Are you showing up with a moving truck? What's the plan for that? Get his idea. And he says, nah, we're moving in on Saturday. Moving trucks should show up at 9 a.m. Okay, awesome. This person that I learned from created that order form, and they sent it to their client and said, hey, however many people you're going to be, let me know. Check off how many pizzas you want, what kind of pizza you want, and I'll have everything delivered at 12 o'clock. it's just another thing to think about. It's another way that you get to service the client. It's something that they're not going to forget. As silly as it is, it's just pizza, but they're not going to forget. That's an in the moment touch, not a tomorrow touch and a consistency touch, if that makes sense. Has anybody ever done anything like that?
Go ahead, Eric.
So interestingly enough, it was one of the mega camps, not last year, probably 2 years ago, maybe 3, that I got this idea similar to that for around the closing of the property. And we all, a lot of people get their their buyers closing gifts, and we would get our sellers a restaurant open table, open table to restaurant for, depending on the size of the sale, $75, $100. And for when Jimmy and I, Ronnie, I was with Jimmy Ciros for a while,
Yeah.
and he was handling all the buyers, and we would get these baskets. One of our clients makes baskets, and then we would get these baskets for $75. And I just never really liked that. So what I heard at Family Reunion, and we did it at least twice. I don't work with a lot of buyers, and a lot of the agents that do my buyers haven't implemented it, but it really worked well when we do it, which was, we asked similar, say, hey, when are you planning on moving in? Okay, we're moving in next, the week after. And are you planning on having a housewarming party? Yeah, well, we want to do a few things. Well, let us know when you're doing a housewarming party, and we will help cater your housewarming party. So in other words, name a place in your town, Ronnie, that you would order platters from. Boniello's. So we will help by providing $100. Look, I have no problem not being able to write off the entire gift amount. But for $100 or $150, we will do that. And what the nice thing is with that is, I want to show up as the agent, and I want to present you and just say, hey, I want to say it was really a pleasure working with these. I know you guys are friends and family of this wonderful couple. I met them 6 months ago, and I just felt I love these people. These are great people. Now what happens is the agent who shows up at the party for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, it's kind of like the star for a minute. Like, yeah, and people are now saying, oh, how's the mark? You have an opportunity to meet their friends and family. Yeah. And we did that twice. The first time we did it, we got like 3 referrals. People came up and said, oh yeah, 3 referrals right away. The nice thing, and what the agent explained was, and we have to do it more consistently. Like you said, Ron, to your point, you have to do it and stick with it.
Yeah.
But just imagine for $100, and then you get to go to the party, and there's 30 or 40 people there, or 20 people, and you have some business cards on you, or you can say, hey, I just gave my last business card out. What's your information? I'll send you my information. Now you're able to generate leads from that right away.
Awesome. I love housewarming parties, because typically if you got invited, they liked you, right? And they're going to sing your praises in their new home.
Yep.
No doubt about it. Anybody else? Anything different? No? A little silence.
Ron,
Okay.
I was going to maybe shift gears a little bit, as we have some newer agents on the call, and so I guess what I would ask you is, what would, like, when you first got in the business, what was the one thing that you did that got you to where you are now, that you would say, especially with your sphere and your database, what advice would you give to our newer agents to get up and running?
Yeah, I mean, just, you do it, right? You pick up the phone and you call, and today you text and you email, and you make sure that everybody knows what you do. Number one. Number two, what are the 3 L's that Gary talks about, right? Leads, listings, leverage. So you guys are all blessed to be a part of an incredible market center. And we live in a collaborative environment where we tell everybody to leverage what we're doing. So when you see a post go out by Allison about the property of the week or whatever it might be, if you don't have a listing, that's your listing. That's your opportunity to post that on your social media and make sure that the world sees it. And then next week, there's another one. And the next week, there's another one. And I'll tell you right now, you could call us anytime you want and ask if you can do the same thing with one of my listings, Bill's listings, or somebody else on my team. Because I'm telling you right now, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I'm gonna proof whatever you want to put out there on social media to make sure it's correct, since it's my name, Bill's name. But I'm telling you to leverage what you can. So going back to Mezzocola and the parties that they do, here's another leverage point. We had what many people say was one of the best kickoff parties for our grand opening. That, I mean, the mayor said he's never been involved in one like it, right? Like that, it was unbelievable. So then the culture committee got together, and kudos to my wife, this is totally her idea. She said, you should do a party every single year and let it act as a block party, and do it there at the market center outside and do all kinds of crazy stuff. COVID stopped that. So we weren't able to put that together for this year because it was supposed to be going on right now in October, where we just had tons of events going on. Keep your ears and eyes open for that in the near future and leverage that. If there's ever something going on inside the market center, if the culture committee is doing something and you have an opportunity to invite somebody in, bring them in. Sometimes it's not necessarily a current or past client if you're new in the industry. Sometimes it's just a family member or a friend. Now that family member or friend that you bring, they now associate you with this successful market center and these successful people, right? It's simple by association. So make sure you leverage all of these people around you. And then Matt, I'll go further on that. When I first got started in the business, I definitely did. I told the world, this is what I'm doing, and just called at the time, call everybody. I had a hard time with computers at the time. That was like the first time I turned a computer on. So typing was very, very difficult for me, if you could imagine. To go from slicing roast beef to a computer, very different. So, what I quickly learned was that there was an easy attribute to the business, and it was FSBOs and expireds. And so you don't need to be in the business for a long time to get business. And the reason a little bit different than, not different, Eric Melnikoff is the king of the phones, the king. And he's the guy that you want to talk to about script and dialogue and practicing on all of that. That's why he's, the productivity coach for the office. But with FSBOs and expireds, I like them because they're not cold. They're very, very warm, right? I'm not asking you if you want to sell your home. You already told the world you want to sell your home. So I'm the doctor that's going to fix what went wrong the first time, right? And there's scripts and dialogues to go along with that. So Matt, to answer your question that way, me personally, and I'd love to hear from some of the other people on here, is, what is it that they would suggest doing to a newbie? But if you're new in this business, FSBOs and expireds all day.
I totally agree, Ronnie. We just got Mojo last week, and we just hired the new agent, Sue. She wants to work her town. She's North Haledon. And we went on the MLS. There's a lot of expireds, believe it or not. There's no one single dominant realtor in the town. So we're going to do that. And then I said to her, the other thing you're going to do is you're going to start doing videos about the towns, about, they own a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant. I said, you need to be the person that goes to every Chinese restaurant in North New Jersey. So it's not just about your restaurant. It's like, everybody gets to know who you are, and you start doing a little segment weekly around food, around the towns, around the restaurants, because she speaks Mandarin. So that way she can get clients that, so it's thinking outside the box, right? Whether it's doing something in your neighborhood, whether if somebody lives in a community or in a townhouse or whatever, finding out if you could be that realtor that throws different events at that complex, the block party, whatever it may be that you can organize, that you get in front of people's faces, then that's what I would say to do. I mean, listen, we're in a different world right now, but it's not going to be like this forever, right?
Right.
And so I was just, trying to talk about even an open house and doing a broker open house at a listing I'm going to help Justin with. And I really had to think outside the box, and the seller thinks I'm crazy, but he has a DJ booth in his basement. And I thought, okay, how about a broker open house? Not everybody's going to come, right? 5:30 to 7 p.m. But, a lot of the realtors like disco music, but why don't we do a totally different spin and do it as also a virtual broker open house? So you could either come in person, or you can watch it and then, maybe get someone who dances disco, like just totally through a different spin to get eyes on this house, right? So I think that's what we have to do. We have to constantly think of what can we do different.
Absolutely. And what I would say to that too is, there's two things there. One, always think outside the box. And two, don't ever let go of the basics, because the basics will always work, right? Always. People are people. That won't change and will not change. So Roger, number one, I love the fact that you are in the lead gen booth. I'm excited about that. I like to see usage there. You're newer. When did you get licensed?
I got licensed about 3.5 months ago now.
Okay. So 3.5 months ago, and I remember our last conversation where you were and what you were doing. Bring us up to speed. How many deals either have you closed or are about to close? What's under contract? What are you working on? And then we could talk about how you got them.
Okay. Yeah. So right now I have 3 deals under contract. My first closing is on Friday. So
Let's go.
Very excited for that. Yeah. Thanks. So yeah, right now, aside from that, I'm working with several more clients. I'm working with a family member, for instance. I'm getting leads from Zillow, and that's pretty much how I'm getting the bulk of them.
Okay. So family and Zillow seems to be your bulk.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with family, Cutco is a very popular knife company, and if you watch Cutco in their sales approach, what they do is their salesperson always has a pad, always. So when they sit with you and they go over whatever it is that you might be ordering, long before that meeting is over, that pad is sitting in front of you with a pen, and they're asking you for as many people as possible that you can think of that could utilize their services. So for somebody like Roger and anybody else that's new on here, if you're out with family and you're working with family at that moment in time, take out the pad and pen and ask them, look, Aunt Sue, Uncle John, thank you so much for the opportunity to work with me. It's such a pleasure. It's an honor that you're helping me get off the ground with this. Things are really starting to go well. I've got 3 properties under contract. We're really moving. Who else inside of your world can you think of right now that might benefit from my services? You know anybody that's looking to move? Is it maybe somebody? And then you can get into it. Do you know anybody who works in New York City? I know a lot of people are leaving the city right now. Probe them for whatever it might be. But I would utilize that pad and pen and have them write down people that they can think of. A neighbor, family member on the opposite side of the family that you're not connected with, or what have you, a coworker, something along those lines.
Roger, one of the things that I would say to you, especially since you have a couple of deals in various locations on the transaction spectrum and buyers that you're working with or sellers that you're working with, you should be asking them for reviews because you're using Zillow now. Ask for them at every step of the process because they're happy out with you today. They may not get the house, but it's very exciting, and they write a review. And then all of a sudden you're going to have 15 reviews, even though you maybe only closed 3 properties. But if you're getting leads from Zillow, having those reviews is going to help you regardless of whether the client closed or not. So make sure that you start asking for them earlier in the process and throughout the entire process, because it's going to make you look busier than you actually are. And that's all that matters for Zillow. It doesn't matter how many are actually closing. It's how many people have spoken about how fabulous you are. So make sure that you're doing that every step of the way, because it'll raise you up on Zillow.
Well, and Jane, just to go off of that, over time, you can create your own. I know I helped agents when I was in Morristown create what are called brag books, which really is just pulling all reviews from Zillow, from online Facebook reviews, and basically putting it into a booklet that you can leave behind on listing appointments and say, well, don't just take my word for it. Here's, I know in Morristown there's someone who had like 80 reviews and they're all glowing. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than a glowing review from anyone.
Yep. And they're hard to get after closing too. So you're better off getting them before, because after they've forgotten, they're too busy. They didn't forget, they're too busy.
Well
Gotcha.
said.
Thank you very much.
You got
I
to
got
keep
a lot of work to do.
Awesome.
Jane, can I ask Jane a question about that? Because we're finding that, and I always felt strange asking for the reviews before we close. Perfect example, my Van Houten Avenue, we're about to close. We just had a conversation. They're like, don't forget to send me for me to do the review for you. They actually said it to me today. And I always wait. And I've started to notice that for the amount of business I do, and it's not that they're not happy, right? I'm not getting the reviews. Like Ronnie, the deal we just had, we were supposed to go to lunch the next day, then they left. Again, now no review, right? And they're ecstatic with us, right? So how and what do you say to them? Like, I just feel awkward asking them before we close.
Well, I would say, so you go out and you show houses, right? And you had a busy day, you had a great day while you're still in the car, although nobody's in your car, right? Say, hey, do me a favor, give me a review about how the day went. It doesn't have to be a review about the entire process, because let's be real, you do enough deals, you get to the table and the attorney screws up, you're not getting a good review, and that had nothing to do with your process through the whole process. So you can break it down in various times with a seller. Once it gets on the market, hey, throw a review out and let everybody know about how, the period from the day we signed the paperwork to the day we hit the market, what you thought. Of course, don't ask them if it went to hell in a handbag, but ask them if it was good. We said it was going to be on the market in a week. We had the professional photography done. We had the stager in, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, my house looks better than it's ever looked. They'll write something like that if you ask them, because they're in the process. When you're going to the table and leaving the table, they're in the mortgage move chaos. What am I doing? And then they're in, oh my gosh, I'm moving into this new house, chaos, kids, school, whatever's on the other side. And it's not that they don't want to do it for you. They do. They just forget. It gets buried in a million other things. So if you're asking, we could come up with a list of reasons to ask them. I think that listing to hitting the market time period is a great one, because it's showing what you're doing. It's going to be in the review. Out with a buyer for the week or weekend. What'd you think? What'd you find? How was it? Ask for the review. I've seen agents do it very successfully over time, but you have to be in the habit of asking for it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, I feel like bad asking for it. I don't know why.
Yeah, so don't call it a review. Call it, tell everybody how your day went or something, Yeah, I don't know what you want to call it, but call it something else, because review may sound too personal to you. So rename it. Nobody cares, just something that they'll do for you, because Zillow is very heavy on that. Hopefully we're going to move away from Zillow's dominance as the world moves forward. But right now, your leads are going to other people. But if you can get yourself ranked higher and more visible, then you have a better shot of getting them. So you need to do that.
Yeah, you should utilize Google reviews as well. Figure out the link that you can use for that. And so I'll tell you right now, so we fell off of this when we made this big transition and opening up the market center, and our lives got crazy. But for a period of time, we were really good at it. With every single closing, automatically the day of or the day after, our clients received an email with 2 links. And we specifically told them how important it was for us to receive this review and how it's such a big part of our business. And we were so grateful for them to take the time. And then we would tell them, if you would be so kind as to put a review here. And I said, and I know it's a lot of work, and if you don't have the time, I totally understand. That usually would guilt them into, of course, doing it, right? Like right away, how could they not? And I would just say, if you can copy and paste that and put it into this link as well, greatly appreciate it. And I gave them the access link points to both Zillow and Google.
Yeah.
So
Google's important.
We actually, that's what we do. We wait till the day, we close, and then we send that, and we have it all programmed and whatever. But it's to the point. People are busy and they get busy, and it's not that they're not happy with us. It's just that there's a lot going on when you move, right? So
doing it before they hit the table, they're generally very excited and very happy. They're going to say something good, and the table could turn it around. That has nothing to do with you. So
especially right when a contract is signed, that's going to be the point when everyone's probably the happiest.
Or we won in a multiple offer, blah, 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 before the home inspector kills the whole thing, You
Exactly.
still have nice review.
Yeah, maybe we should try that. Francis, I like this. This is a great talk right now, because maybe we should all be in the habit of sending out that review link, or those review links, plural, at a different time during the transaction.
Like that even for like our buyers agents when they're working with buyers. And to your point, we might never get to the closing table, right? But then it's people saying, you know, how much work or whatever it may be. So maybe if we
Yeah.
even like Matt, I don't know, if something that we could put out for everyone, like some kind of, I have a template. I mean, I'm happy to show you what I send when we
Yeah.
close, right? But we're not sending it before then, so.
And Ronnie is very right. People Google you. So you need to make sure that you have reviews on Google.
Unfortunately, I'm now focusing on Google because we just had a jerk that was not my client on one of my listings who lost the house due to their own lying on a mortgage application and legit went on Google and just
Thank you.
ripped me apart as if I was their agent. And I very nicely, of course, with Mr. Rosado standing over me, wrote, "I'm so sorry. It appears that you're confused. I represented the seller. We're closing this week and my seller is the one that's going to really write," you know, but it killed it. I mean, she totally took my reviews all the way down.
Yeah, so you
And
need
you
to
can't get it
focus on it.
removed, which stinks, which just means
You
I
can't.
got to drown it. I got to
No,
drown
no,
it.
you could get it removed. So reach out to me offline if you need to. Me and Bill, I cannot remember the name of the service. I paid a monthly subscription for that, and they would literally track everything. Because listen, you can get an upset agent that puts a negative review on you. They're pissed because you got the deal and they didn't, and all of a sudden you have a negative review and it's false.
Mhm.
And so
Well,
yes,
this was
you
totally
can have it
false.
removed.
So, yeah.
No, but you can. I got to find out. I don't recall the name of the service, but there was a service out there that we paid monthly for that just made sure we were spotless online, that nobody could put a false review out there for you.
The reward was I didn't get, they were going to sue the seller and the seller's attorney. All I got was a bad review. That was supposed to be my consolation prize. I actually said I would have rather get the threat to be sued than to have that review.
Sure.
If you aren't getting sued, you're not doing enough business. That's what I've always said. If you want to do business, you're going to get sued. It's going to happen at some point in time.
Well,
Some point in
so
time.
let's bring it back now to staying connected with our sphere of influence and our database, just so we don't go off topic. I think this was a great conversation from a review perspective. I also think now's a good time, you know, like we kind of started the call with how we're closing the year, but also heading into 2021. And I think a lot of agents that I know who are very successful with their sphere is they already have a schedule mapped out for what 2020 will look like. So if they're doing a 12 direct campaign where something's going out to their database or their sphere once a month for 12 months, they've already plotted that out. So, you know, when I'm talking like, you know, Francis, like for example, I feel like you sound like you have your years usually plotted out, whether that's 4th of July in July, you've got your pies, so you're sending invitations out, you're following up with your database. So I guess, you know, one thing I can open up to the floor, and Ron, maybe you can chime in, but I'm sure you guys have your year planned out, whether that's maybe in, you know, March, maybe it's a spring type post to your database. Maybe you've got a, you know, if you like going to the beach, maybe you've got a beach centric post or something that you're reaching out to your sphere. What does that look like for you guys on this call? How do you guys identify what you're going to be touching your clients on a monthly basis? Do you have it mapped out?
I'll jump in. If you guys, you've seen Bill speak in front of you guys a lot, and as have I. I don't know how the heck we did what we did, but we grew a business to almost $100 million in sales, and we didn't touch our database as far as like the annual planning, which is crazy. That's just absolutely ridiculous, right? Because that means it probably should have been $200 million in sales. So as far as annual planning, I can tell you right out of the gate, we haven't. And Matt, you're a genius, because that would probably make my life so much less hectic, because I do feel like we're always behind that 8 ball. So we do business planning October, November, where we set goals. We meet with every one of our agents. We meet with Sally as our CEO. We do all that stuff together, but we don't plan out what that looks like on the database touch. So awesome light bulb moment for me right there, man.
And, I can provide you with some things that I have that we can like rip off and duplicate.
Yeah, I mean, what I would do is I would get your team or your group together and write out January, February, March, April, May, and just look at, okay, what would be a good touch for January? What's a good touch for February? And maybe it's once a quarter, it's a mortgage touch, leverage our mortgage partners. Maybe it's just what are mortgage rates looking like? Leverage our various partners. But I've seen that agents who do a lot of business with their sphere and get a lot of referrals, they have that planned out pretty much. Ron, you were just saying, you're scheduling stuff in October for really 2021. I mean, the activities that you're doing today are really going to show up in 2021 right now. So
Yeah, absolutely.
you really want to make sure that you have that mapped out. It doesn't have to be anything major. It's just regular touches and offering items of value to your database and to your sphere. And it's consistently following up. Anytime you send something out, call them and say, hey, hey, John, I was just reaching out. Did you receive blank? Did you receive my invitation to the 4th of July party? Did you receive it? That way you're getting really 2 touches from one item, by offering an item of value and then making the call to make sure they received it. And I've seen that work really well in a lot of different circles.
I have seen agents plan for a year in advance. So let's say in this model, we're using a 12 touch physical mailing piece. I've seen them design them, get them ready, and have them stored, and just have an appointment on their calendar. Press go for March, press go for April. Because when you're quiet in, pre-Christmas, post-Christmas, you can do all that. When you're not quiet in April, you don't have time to design the flyer, whatever it is. And the world could go sideways and you could be in COVID and you can't use it. Well, then you've lost a couple of hours in the dead of winter when you weren't doing anything anyway. But when you're really busy, if you organize it and you have it all set in a folder, especially if you have an assistant and you have it all set, ready to go, then all they need to do is click. And I want to go as far as to say, and I could be wrong because my command knowledge is not quite there with my red fire hose that I'm drinking from, but I believe you can set it up in command in advance.
You can.
So that,
Yep.
So just do it. Like sit down on a cold, freezing freaking day and do it and set it up for the year so you don't even have to worry about it.
There are a lot of agents, Jane, that you and I both know mutually that I could think of right now that do it that way and like order certain things in bulk because some things can be repeated and so forth, so that they know exactly. Like, for example, and I was just looking at that today, oh my God, the note cards, like when you're going to write your grocery list or whatever it is, that you can order in bulk, and they have EDDM even now that you can send it that way. However, I also want to let everybody know that I just received all my my postcards that I had printed to send them every door direct. And right now the post office just said no every door direct because of the election. So now I have all these just sold for the lovely house that Ronnie and I sold that I can't send.
You can send them anytime. Send them 2 months from now.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
we just
every door direct is great. I think somebody of your caliber, unless you have a big staff, and I don't know what kind of staff you have, I don't want you touching a single flyer or anything like that. That's $5 an hour work. Like I would say EDDM might save you money, but it's costing you money because it's taking you away from money-making things. So
hold on,
yeah,
Jane.
it's not me, though.
Let me just interject real quick. We are going to talk about this at the sales rally as well. So I'm just going to interject here. So through our joint venture, Tobias Title, we are in a joint venture with Foundation Title. Foundation Title has their own marketing department. So I personally am in the process right now of testing it out and through EDDM. But to Jane's point, I ain't touching it.
Not touching it.
I am not touching it. They are handling it. Leverage everything you possibly can. So I will let you guys all know how it goes, but we're in the process right now this week of creating what that ad is going to look like. But then they do it all. Send a check. Done.
You're not a $5 an hour employee. You're the rainmaker. You need to do the rainmaking, not the touching of stuff.
That's right.
Francesca, did you have something you wanted to add? I saw your hand go up. You're muted. Oh.
Yes, we just did the same thing with Tobias Title. because my counterpart Lou loves postcards. So I have like 2,000 of them being stored right now in our home office. And he loves to do them when he has spare time, and he handwrites a little note out to family and friends. But we, for the first time, did Tobias.
Did
So
it go
we'll see
out
how
yet,
that goes.
Jessica?
What?
Did it go out?
I believe so. I didn't get my copy yet,
Okay,
but I did get a phone call to one of the people that we were reaching.
fantastic, awesome, awesome. Who did you work with at the title marketing department? Do you remember, or did Lou do it?
Lou did it.
Not a girl. It's not for nothing. I hope everybody watched that. Like that should be a lot of the responses, right? Like I don't know. Someone else did it, right? Like that should be the response. That's how a rainmaker thinks. That's how a rainmaker operates. You don't even touch it, right? I'm touching it because I know that I need to speak to it. So I want to make sure that I can talk to our entire market center about the experience, who I talked to, what it was like. But I can tell you right now, going forward, that's it. I'm done, right? It's going to be.
I just had the final artistic input. That was it.
Nice. Good for you. I love it. What else, Matt?
So I was just curious, Donna Tishka, are you able to chat? I see you're on the call because I know you're really good at hitting your sphere. So I'd love to hear maybe some things. Hey, Donna.
Hey.
I'd love to hear maybe some things that you do with your sphere, because I know we've talked many times. I would say that's one of your strengths. So are you able to chat just about what you do with your sphere of influence in your database?
Yes, I can talk. I mean, as even I was before at Wycert, we didn't have a database or anything. We were using Wycert Pro, but that didn't do much. But every Christmas, I always send handwritten cards to all my past clients and friends. Always post I buy beautiful cards, and swear to God, every year, at least after I send those cards, this year I got a phone call, thank you phone call. I sold 3 houses after those cards because the people called me back. So I sold 3 houses. Every year I get something back. I spent a lot of time. I write a little note. I send beautiful cards. Every year I get 2 or 3 transactions out of those cards. And of course, people don't remember me. Now, since I joined Keller Williams, I cannot express enough how the E-Edge, I use E-Edge because I love that monthly newsletter. I have everybody on the E-Edge, and my past clients or my sphere of influence, the people that I know, and I know they are interested in the real estate, I have them saved on the searches, and I send them every week. They get from me like neighborhood updates, what sold, for how much, what's going on in their market. A lot of them appreciate that. On top of it, on every single listing that I get, I have people into groups. Like I advertise for Panton Lakes, and I do a lot of business in Garfield. So I have them like buyers, past clients, Garfield single family houses, Garfield 2-family houses. I send to those groups the listings that I get. And they take it as a personal email to them. They don't see that I send the same email to 100 other people. It's just one click because I have them organized in group. And after each email, I get something back. Swear to God, after each email with a new listing, I get something back. So I cannot express enough how the E-Edge works beautifully for me. And I also use a foundation title. I sent cards through them. I did it for Garfield twice already, and everything was fine. I actually got only 1 phone call, but I listed another house from that phone call that she gave my number to her sister. So it works amazingly.
That's awesome. Thanks, Donna. One thing that you mentioned that we didn't really talk that much about that I really liked is just grouping your contacts and grouping your database, because what you're sending or what you're touching one part of your database could be very different than what you'll be focusing on with a different part of your database. So it's important for newer agents or experienced agents to really identify different groups of contacts so you can target them with different things. So thank you for sharing that, Donna. I appreciate that.
Everybody's expecting something different from you. You have buyers, you have sellers, you have past clients that you sold houses 10 years ago to them, but they still want to know what the house is worth. So you put them in group and you basically send them maybe market updates every month. I mean, which they do it automatic for you. You don't have to touch it. The email, it's being sent automatically, but you have to put them in a group. Like for Garfield, I even ran the campaigns through the Facebook campaigns, and we got like 93 contacts in 1 day, in 1 week. Sorry, 1 day would be crazy. We cannot follow up with those people, but we got 93 contacts in 1 week. So all these people, I ran it on a 2 families and single family house. And I put them, all these people, obviously they're not going to buy today. Maybe they're going to buy in 6 months. Maybe they're going to buy in a year. But you put them into groups like single family house buyers, 2 family house interested past potential buyers. And then every time you get a listing, or as a matter of fact, you can even send the listing from your office to that group directly to those people, which is amazing. And every time I send something like that, I get something back after each email. It's very important that you just don't keep everybody together, because Panton is so far away from Garfield. I had a phone call today from Garfield. The lady didn't even know where Panton Lakes is. So you cannot keep them together as buyers. And they always appreciate that you send them, like, you don't send them listings from the Garden State MLS or from Zillow, because they could get them themselves. They could put themselves on the searches. If you send them a specific house, they feel unique. You just send them one house.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Donna, for sharing. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you sharing. So with that, we have about 5 minutes left. I don't know if there's any questions that anyone on the call has for Ron, for myself, for Jane, for anybody who's spoken. The other thing too is Ron will be doing the mastermind as well next week. We don't have a topic scheduled yet. Is there any topic that you guys would like us to cover next week that we could push out to the masses? Is there any topic that you'd like us to cover next week?
Looks like we got to get creative.
Yeah, maybe we'll just do an open Q&A. Maybe we'll just do an open mastermind. So that's what we can do next week. Anything that you're experiencing, and Maria just said, love these masterminds. I know a lot of people, we've been getting good feedback on them. So next week, let's just have it be an open dialogue. So for those of you on this call today, if you could bring maybe one question, one challenge, one topic that you're experiencing that we can really dig deeper on, that would be great. Beautiful. So with that, Ron, do you have anything else you want to today? I thought this was an excellent call with a ton of great information. Is there anything that you want to say before we close out?
I'll actually ask one more question with Donna. I know everybody is definitely impressed with 93 contacts in 1 week from a Facebook ad that you ran. My question is, was your Facebook ad that you ran that received 93 contacts in a week, was it a specific property, or
Yes.
it was? Okay,
Yes.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about your ad? Like what did you say about it? What got such great responses?
It's every town gets different response. Like we run one for Morristown, it's different. You go to, but you have a listing and I talked to Matt about that the other day at the office. You have a listing in Bergen County, you're gonna get 93 or 100 responses in a week in Bergen County, because the market, what's going on. You list in Bergen County, you know what's going on there. You're not gonna get the same amount of people maybe for Morristown, because we didn't for a townhouse. So every property is unique. But if you have a hot property priced well, you're gonna have 200 probably responses. And you basically.
So what about your ad though? Is your ad like, hey, just listed, or is there something specific that you actually?
No, you basically run an ad as a property. You have an option which feature you wanna click. And the best one that brings the most attention is to attract buyers. So you always, not like just listed, this doesn't get you anything. Attract buyers. You have to run and pick that option, attract buyers, because that's the only option that gets you contacts. That's the only one. I tried different ones. This is the only one. So
So
attract.
you're choosing one that's pre-formatted for you, right?
You basically put the MLS number, and it takes automatically your listing. You
Right.
can
And then you just choose to click down that says attract buyers, and then they create the campaign for you.
Yes, you have to put a language. You have to put like a title for the ad, whatever you want to write. You have to like target the area, how far you want to go, and you have to be very careful because some of them they basically go 20 miles radius of Wayne. If you have a Garfield property, you want to change that zip code around Garfield, 20 miles Garfield, because a lot of people right now coming from Brooklyn and Bronx over there. So you want to attract those areas too. So you have to make sure that your zip code is in the middle of the 20 miles. All these buyers that you want them to come to your listing, whoever is going to buy on that house. But basically what I'm saying, if we have any one of us could run an ad, obviously you probably, I don't know if you need a listing agent permission, but this is like additional marketing for the listing agent. Any one of us could run an ad on any of our listings. You have no idea what kind of number of clients we can capture with those ads. It's insane. And then it's obviously the next step is follow up, because leads are not a problem. Like we are like, I don't know, bombarded with leads. We cannot keep up with the appointments right now. The keeping up and, process and updating and keeping up with the leads, that's another challenge. But if you have that listing that it's hot, like I have the terrace one in Wayne, and we just started the campaign. There's 25 leads are coming every day on that.
God bless.
I also think, Donna, we may need you to teach a class in November specifically on what you're doing. So I may have Christina reach out to you if you'd be open to teaching a class next month.
That takes 5 minutes to set, and it costs $30.
How much are you spending per day or per campaign?
$30.
30.
For a week.
Flat fee, $30 for the week.
10 days of running.
And this is through command?
This is through command, yes.
Okay.
This is through command, yes. I love them.
Have you ever used like when you're clicking and you're saying attract buyers, have you ever used brand awareness? Have you ever used that one or no?
No. Well, I used just listed, and we used attract talent, I think, when we were looking for people. No.
Yeah, because I don't think I think attract talent is okay, but the leads aren't necessarily coming, but the showings of the thing are there, but not the leads. So
yeah.
Brand awareness, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually met a buyer yesterday in Hampton Lakes. She texted me, and actually I got scared one time. I was on Facebook and I saw my own my own campaign running. Like, oh my God, it's really there. So, but then I met a buyer yesterday. She texted me through Facebook. I don't have her number, but she texted me through Facebook asking to see a property in Hampton Lakes. And we were texting through Facebook, through the messenger, and they actually came. I was like, I cannot believe they actually came. They came yesterday, sent him more houses to. It's like it really does work.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
But on any listings that we have, the office has, we can capture so many people to our database. It's like scary. It's scary.
Can I ask everybody a favor? Because we do have an ad out now. We're starting a new recruiting campaign, both for this office and for the new Kinnelon office, using the language of real estate reports. So all the top folks so for example, use Matt Weiss's success year-over-year growth in this ad that went out this week. If you see it in Facebook, please click on it and fill out your name so we know it's working. Because I know 9,000 people have seen it, but it's my first real ad that I've done this way, and people have clicked, but I haven't gotten anything through.
Different. You're probably running the different type of ads, because we had them before we started with the comment. The other ads don't capture the leads. The Facebook ads, they just there to seen. People don't usually fill out the information, and I spend a lot of money doing them.
Right,
Not-
well, that's what, this one is through command, that they're
Oh, this one is
supposed,
different, because if this is through comment, it's only enough if they're gonna click learn more.
right.
You
And
have
then
the
when they click learn more, what do your people have to do?
they don't have to do anything. They're gonna click learn more and I get all their info.
Huh, so why isn't that happening, Matt? We have to figure that out.
We'll have to look at that offline. We may even want to reach out to Scott Leroy to see if he could take a look.
Okay,
They
I want
only
to
learn more
put Xavier
and
on the spot. Xavier's on this call with his pretty picture. Xavier, I don't know if he can unmute himself where he is, but maybe that's a class with Xavier and Donna, because he understands this and he does this. And to the point of, you know, when you have that listing of the week that you're sharing and that we could all, you know, promote it. I have to tell you, I'm actually using that fact when I go on a listing appointment of why they should choose us, because I actually show how many times that one listing has been shared by the whole office.
Yeah.
And it really brings home the, you know, conversation of collaboration and all of us working together to sell your listing, right? So, so I'm good with people sharing my listings. My whole team gets to share it. We even post it so it looks like it's their listing. I don't care. The more the merrier, right? Because our goal is to
Of
sell
course.
and sell it quickly. So I think if we even embrace something like this, Ronnie, think about it.
Yeah,
I was talking about this
Especially
with
for the newer agents.
sure. That's what I said earlier in the call, right? Leverage, take the listings, use them.
yeah, use the listings and then, but if we're gonna get all these people, we need to hire people just to follow up with those leads and kind of like incubate them and make sure that we stay in touch with them, because some of them may take a year, or
We
maybe
can-
put them in group, as I said, put them in group
we
counts,
can
and
give
every
them
time
to
after
Eric's
that
crowd, to the productivity coaching people. If there's too many, we certainly have those agents who are hungry,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
We can roll it into that.
Pedro and Maria are very quiet up there. I'm sure they'll take some.
Well, guys, it's 4:05, so I know we ran a little bit long, and so I want to be respectful of all of your time. But we'll continue this conversation next Monday as well. Like I said, we'll bring some Q&A, and I thought this was an amazing call. So thank you, everyone, for sharing, for being present, and just being very engaged. So have a really great rest of your day, and see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.